Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, today we're starting late. I had just a meeting that I couldn't join. Can everyone hear me clearly? Can all of you hear me clearly, please?
Yes.
All right, a quick one. A lot of you have been complaining that you couldn't log into the classroom. So please, this is how you get into your classroom. Okay, this is how you can actually get into your classroom. First, you go to your browser, which is the Google browser. You type in your netacad.com. Okay. Now, when you type netacad, it brings you to an environment like this. Okay. Now, when it brings you to this environment, you click on login. Click on login. So the login will show you, to bring you to id.cisco.com, where you have your email address. Now, the same email address that you provided, or the same email address you used to complete your registration on the academy, you now enter the email address and put your password. It's going to request for your password for you to sign in. So for me, I've already saved my password to the browser, so I don't need to type in the password. The password is already there. I just click to log in. So please, it is very important for every class we have, you have to go to this environment to log in and go through the activities that you have there. That is what shows that you attended a class, not the Zoom. Now, the reason why we're using the Zoom temporarily is because the tool is actually faster for us. We have our own tool. We have what we call Cisco WebEx. Okay. Now, Cisco WebEx is what we use that's what we use in training. Okay. The reason why I'm using Zoom, because I know you guys you're actually new into the environment and you might not know the Cisco WebEx, but when we are through from the class and you want to move ahead, into the full cybersecurity class, you will have to download Cisco WebEx. You won't be using Zoom. Okay, please, it's very important you know this. It's because it's an introduction to the cybersecurity. That's why we're using Zoom. We're supposed to use our own Cisco WebEx training tool. Okay, so when it appears on your, for me, I'm a teacher, right? So what will appear here is going to show. Okay, for your own, it's going to show learning. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. What will be showing on your own is not going to show I'm teaching. It's going to show something like this. Okay, it's going to show I'm learning. So all you need to do is to just click launch whatever class you have. Okay, this is very important to take note of this. Okay, all right. So let me go back to the class so I can launch the class properly.
Thank you.
Can someone tell us where we stopped the last time? For those who attended the class.
Oshana, where is your earpiece?
So when you click on your launch your chapter, this is where you see all your, you can see it, chapter 1, chapter. So if you click on launch chapter, okay? So we're launching the chapter now.
Sending it.
There's the earpiece.
Now send it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about the background noise. I'll take it up just a minute. Actually connected. Okay.
Sorry.
So I need everyone to please mute your okay. I was asking a question. Where did we stop the last time? Can someone from group A tell us where we stopped the last time? I believe everyone can hear me clearly.
Oh, yeah, they are not showing again. You will see them now.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, I think we stopped at the different types of hackers. I know I came in late that day, but I think we stopped at where you were trying to define the types of hackers, the ones wearing black suits, white suit, okay, or something.
Thank you very much. So for the chapter labs, so this is where we are present.
Yes, this is how we stop. Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about the attackers, the cyber attackers. Okay, so attackers are individuals or groups who attempt to exploit vulnerability for personal or financial gain. Now, what they are explaining here is this, to let us know that for every knowledge you're getting when it comes to cybersecurity, they have different types of attackers. They have the white one, they have the black, they have the gray hat, okay? And I'm going to explain this. and they have the ones they call the amateur. So attackers are individuals or groups who attempt to exploit vulnerability for personal or financial gain. Attackers are interested in everything from your credit cards to your product design and anything with value. Okay, so amateur is one. The amateurs are these people are sometimes called script kiddies. Now, what do? They are usually attackers with little or no skill. That's people who go online that just learn little things and want to try, often using existing tools or instructions found on the internet to launch attacks. Some of them are just curious, while others are trying to demonstrate their skills and cause harm. They may be using basic tools, okay? But the tools can still be devastating, meaning whatever tool they are using can still find a way to disrupt your work. So we'll talk about the attack. The first ones are the amateurs, and the second attackers are the hackers. Now, hackers are the group of attackers that break into computers or network to gain access depending on the intent of the break-in. So these attackers are classified as white, gray, or black hats. The white hat attackers break into networks or computer systems to discover weaknesses so that the security of this system can be improved. Now, what the white hat does is they are like they want to find the problem you have, or they want to find a way to see that your network is okay. So what they do is they try your network, and when they find out your network is having problem, they will send you a mail or inform you that your network is bad. They call them white attackers, okay? Or white hackers. All right, so these break-in are done with prior permission, and any results are reported back to the owner, okay? That's the white one. On the other hand, the black hat attackers, they take advantage of any vulnerability for illegal personal, financial, or political gain. Okay, that's for the black. What they want to do is they want to track the system. They want to, see how they can gain information or gain financial gain or political gain. That's for the black. Then we have the one that is gray. The gray hat attackers may find a vulnerability in your system. Okay, gray hat hackers may report the vulnerability to the owners of the system if that action coincides with their agenda. Now, some gray hat attackers publish facts about the vulnerability on the internet so that other attackers can exploit it. Okay, that is what the gray do. All right, so they are more of the gray and black are more of, they are not the good side. Okay, so the figure gives the details of what they are, which you can also go through later and read about them, how they work. Okay, then we have the other one, the gray attackers. So for the white attackers, what do? These are ethical hackers. Okay, they are called ethical hackers. Please, can we just mute when you come in, please? So you don't distract the class. So the white attackers are ethical hackers who actually use their programming skills for good, ethical, and legal purposes. While white hackers may perform network penetration tests in an attempt to compromise networks and systems by using their knowledge or computer security system to discover network vulnerabilities. So security vulnerabilities are reported to developers for them to fix before the vulnerabilities can be threatened. So some organizations award prizes or bounties to white hat hackers when they inform them of vulnerabilities. So what does these guys do is they are like a social. Hello, please, can you just mute Mrs. Chidima? So using the knowledge of computer security system. So we look at the gray hackers. The gray hackers actually are individuals who commit the crime itself. So, and do arguable unethical things, but not for personal gain or to cause damage. An example would be someone who compromises a network without permission and then discloses the vulnerability publicly. Now, some months back, we had a guy who is a gray hat, who is a gray hat hacker, who actually penetrated the, I think is the National Identity Identification Office. When he did that system, he published it. Okay, and that's just an example of a gray hat. He published it for people for other hackers. You know, he just made it public that he has had access to NIN, one of the NIN database or something like that. So that's a gray hat. Then we have the black hat. The black hat are those that are strictly criminals. They violate your computer network security for their personal gain or for malicious reasons. They attack networks. Black hat hackers exploit vulnerabilities to compromise computer and network system. Their own is always very dangerous. Okay, when they attack your system, they mess it up. Okay, so there's one we call the organized hackers. These hackers include organization of cyber criminals. They call them cyber criminals, they call them activists, they call them terrorists, and state-sponsored hackers. Now, this particular set of people, their cyber criminals, are usually groups of professionals. Okay, what they do is they come as a group. They form themselves as a cartel. They train themselves. They have admins. They have marketers. Okay, so now when they start operation, you see that they have set of people that goes out to steal information from people. People who will grab your SIM card, will steal your ID. Once all those information are get, they send it to their boss and they start hacking. That's why sometimes when you misplace your phone, in few minutes, you don't have to wait even up to 1 hour, because that minute that they have done it, they won't wait. They'll have to send. So most of them, you see, they send them out to go and steal phone, to steal SIM cards, to steal cards. So these are organized hackers, and this is their function. Okay, so the criminals are highly sophisticated and organized, and they may even provide cybercrime as a service to other criminals. That's what they do. We heard the story of the Hodge Pumpy guy, okay, and what he was doing. That is an example of a cyber criminal, okay? Because what he was doing, he had an organized team that they were even training, okay, to go out to hack systems, get informations, and bring to them. So they, from their own base, they will now have access to the customer's account. Okay, so these organized criminals attackers are usually highly trained and well-funded, and their attacks are focused on special goals that are beneficial to their government. That's what they do. Okay, so let's look at the internal and external threats. So from this diagram, you see where exactly do these cyber attackers come from. One, we have the outsiders and we have the insiders. Now, the insiders are employees. Now, don't be so surprised. Some of them, they can even tell the staff, the organized group, they can tell the staff to apply for a job in an organization. Okay? Now, the staff will apply for the job, will get into the system of that organization, will be a staff will be in a position that have access to a lot of things. Okay, and their work is just to be getting information and sending it to their hackers out there. So for every cybersecurity professional, there are ways you need to check to make sure your employees are not involved in hacking. So employees and ex-employees are insiders. Then we have the contract staff. We have the contract staff. Okay, we have the contract staff. Okay, so we have the contract staff. We have the trusted partners. Then if you look at the outsiders, you see you have the organized attackers, which are the cyber criminals, the activists, the terrorists, and the state sponsor. Then we have the normal hackers, which is the black hat, gray hat, and white hat. Then we have the amateur. So let's look at the internal security threats. The internal security threats are attacks that can be originated from within an organization or from outside of the organization, as shown in the figure. Now, an internal user, such as an employee or contract partner, can accidentally or intentionally mishandle confidential data, threaten the operation of internal servers or network infrastructure devices, facilitate outside attacks by connecting affected USB media into the corporate computer system. Now, this is why many organizations are always they're always locking out all their USBs. Because if you lock out your USB, there's a way you disable it, or your USB will not work. You know, it is very important, especially when the files of the office, the files you have in that system are very important system. All you need to do is to disable the USB, so no one could connect USB when you are not on seat, because they can just connect a USB. They won't even copy anything, and the USB will do the work because they've installed a software that does an auto run to extract files as soon as the USB is plugged. So it's very important. So you facilitate outside attacks by connecting affected USB into the corporate computer system. Now, accidentally invite malware onto the network through malicious email or website. So internal threats also have the potential to cause greater damage than external threats, because internal users have direct access to the building and its infrastructure devices. So employees also have knowledge of the corporate network, its resources, and its confidential data, as well as different level of user or administrative privileges. So that is one. Then let's look at the external security threats. External threats from amateurs or skilled attackers are exploits. Okay, exploit vulnerabilities in network or computer devices, or use social engineering to gain. Okay, so most of the time, the external security threats, what they do is they just want to see where you have problems. They want to monitor where your network is having a breach, or something happens, or your software is not updated enough. You understand? So they now look at, oh, this person has not updated the software. They can actually, you know, access your system through the network. That is for the external. But for the internal, they access your files because they work inside the office. Okay. So let's now look at what is cyber warfare. What is cyber warfare? Cyber warfare. Now, a cyberspace. Okay. All right, let's listen to this video shortly before I continue.
You know, when it comes to security news, it's always puzzling what gets reported. As viewers of this show, you know there's a very regular rhythm of security issues that are always bubbling just below the surface, and it takes something truly profound to grab the public's attention. Well, one new threat making the rounds did have the right mix of ingredients last summer: Stuxnet. I mean, it makes sense, right? Computer attacks, nuclear power, foreign governments, sabotage, spy versus spy. But how much of it is real? Enough to say it's a sign of the times. Now, as with all good threats, the details will continue to evolve, but I do think that there are 5 items worth paying attention to here. The first one, non-trivial distribution. Primarily spread via USB sticks, think non-internet connected systems that then propagate by escalating privilege levels through zero-day exploits. Notable for the fact that true zeros are special, and they're only valuable for a short period of time, very expensive, very hard to come by. The next one, sophistication. This is an intelligent worm, initially targeting Windows computers, where it even installs its own drivers using a stolen but legitimate certificate. The offending certificate gets revoked, of course, but then another one gets added within 24 hours. Our third point, modular coding. This thing can get new tires while still on the road. Multiple control servers, first in Malaysia, then Denmark, now more, including peer-to-peer. In fact, when two run into each other, they compare versions and make sure that they're both updated. Fourth point, unique targeting. Windows is just the intermediary, the friend of the friend. Stuxnet is looking for a particular model of PLC, that's Programmable Logic Controller, which is technically not SCADA as it's often reported. These are small embedded industrial control systems that run all sorts of automated processes, from factories to oil refineries to nuclear power plants. Stuxnet will leverage a vulnerability in the controller software to reach in and change very specific bits of data, shut things off. Don't grease a bearing for 10 minutes. Don't sound an alarm. This is really unique knowledge. Respectable coding skills that imply a higher level of patience, of good funding resources. Our final point, motive. Stuxnet does not it does not threaten, it performs sabotage. It really has no criminal focus. It does not spread indiscriminately or steal credit card information or login credentials. It does not recruit systems into a botnet. It targets infrastructure, our most essential necessities like power, water, safety, and much, much more. You know, these are older systems, very established, generally run with the mentality of, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. These things don't get watched over and patched by technical handlers who understand these kind of things. Not yet, anyway. So stay tuned. This one is not done. We all have a lot to learn, and somebody is working hard to teach us.
Okay, so what you are talking about is about the cyberspace. Okay, so the cyberspace, the cyber warfare is a cyberspace. Okay, a cyberspace has become another important dimension of warfare, where nations can carry out conflicts without the clashes of traditional troops and machines. This allows countries with minimal military presence to be as strong as other nations in cyberspace. Now, what is cyber warfare? Cyber warfare is an internet-based conflict that consists that internet conflict that involves the penetration of computer systems and networks of other nations. Now, these attackers have the resources and expertise to launch massive internet-based attacks against nations to cause damage or disrupt services, such as shutting down a power grid. Okay, so an example of a state-sponsored attack is what we're watching in the news, okay, which is the Stuxnet malware that was designed to damage Iran's nuclear enrichment plant. So Stuxnet malware did not hijack targeted computers to steal information. It was designed to just damage physical equipment that was controlled by computers. So it used modular coding that was programmed to perform a specific task within the malware. It used stolen digital certificates so the attack appeared legitimate to the system. Okay, so you can always come back to watch this on your own, like I told you. So what's the purpose of a cyber warfare? Why do we have cyber warfare? What's the purpose of the cyber warfare? The main purpose of cyber warfare is to gain advantage over adversaries. That's the main purpose. Where they are nations or competitors, okay? That is when the issue of cyber warfare is used. So a nation can continuously invade nations' infrastructure, steal defense secrets, and gather information about technology to narrow the gaps in these industries and military. Now, we noticed what was happening between Ukraine and Russia. You know, one of the things Ukraine did during this process of this war is to use one of the tools they have, which is one of the cyber warfare tool Okay, that was the tool they used, that they were able to bring down that ship, because for a ship to sink, it's not just this. Nobody just went there to sink the ship. It was a cyber warfare technology, okay, that they used to sink that warship, that Russian warship. So, for example, an attack can disrupt the power grid of a major city. That means they can create something that will affect all the entire power. So traffic will be disrupted. The exchange of goods and services is altered. Patients cannot get the care needed at the emergency situations. Okay, so access to the internet may also be disrupted. By affecting the power grid, the attack can affect the everyday life of ordinary citizens. Okay, so that is one of the things the cyber warfare does. So furthermore, compromised sensitive data can give the attackers the ability to blackmail personnel within the government. So the information may allow an attacker to pretend to be an authorized user to access sensitive information or equipment. Okay, so most of the time, as a cybersecurity person, the first thing you have to think is how to protect your network. So if the government cannot defend against their cyber attacks, the citizen may lose confidence in the government's ability to protect them. So cyber warfare can destabilize a nation, can disrupt commerce, and affect citizens. Okay, so faith in their can affect citizens' faith in their government without ever physical invading. So what they're trying to tell us now is the purpose of cyber warfare is always to take advantage over your adversaries. All right, like nations taking over another nation, just the way we are seeing the Ukraine and Russian situation. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 1. That's everything you need to know about chapter 1. Okay, so this chapter, what you've learned, this is the summary. This chapter explained the features and characteristics of cybersecurity. It explained why the demand for cybersecurity professionals will only continue to increase. It talks about the content, explains why your personal online identity and data is vulnerable to cyber criminals. It gives some tips on how you can protect your personal online identity and data. This chapter also has discussed organizational data, what it is, where it is, and why it must be protected. It has also explained who are the cyber attackers, okay, and what they want. So cybersecurity professionals must have the same skills as the cyber attackers. So that is the course you are going into, okay? So like I always say, even if you have the skills of a cyber attacker, doesn't mean you become a black hat. So please take note of that. So a cybersecurity professional must work within the bounds of local, national, and international law. For everything you do, you must follow the international standard law of a cybersecurity personnel. So a cybersecurity professional must also use their skills ethically. This is very important. So finally, this chapter briefly explains cyber warfare and why nations and governments need cybersecurity professionals to help protect their citizen infrastructure. So if you would like to further, okay, so now what we're going to do, all right, we're going to end today's class like this, and we're going to, immediately after this class now, I'll send in the group. Please click on the group and get into your group, because you need to do all the labs before we move to chapter 2. Okay, so discussion can take place from your group, and you can do the labs. We have about 3 labs inside chapter 1. Now, once you have done the chapter 1 labs, you can proceed to do your quiz, okay? I don't want you to compile all the whole questions together.
The network is cracking. We're not getting that instruction. We're not getting the instruction.
Hello?
The network is cracking.
Yes, there's a video that we're going to share after this one. The video will be shared as well. And you can also go to the YouTube to watch the chapter 1 videos. That's for those that miss the class and for those that cannot hear it clearly. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is this. The group will be shared now. Please get into the group. Okay. Those who have said they are in group A, group B, and group C and group D, get into your group and start with the lab. By the time we move to the next class, we're only going to have a presentation of that lab. Okay. Then you have a presentation. Okay, on Wednesday. We'll make it on Thursday. You have a presentation of your lab on Thursday, but tomorrow we'll be moving to chapter 2. But after this class right now, I want everyone to get into their groups and start discussing on the chapter 1 topic. All right. So thank you very much. And thank you for today's class. So the video will be shared shortly. If you have any question, please, you can send it to the DM. You can get it to the WhatsApp.